Alright guys, let's create the design and the registration. So we are going to create the design now, some design to make the background look better. So we are going to use gradient. So let's create this one. We change it. Alright, think what we're going to call this. Let's call this background color. Click OK. So we are going to change it to shape. We change it to shape. Alright, so we are going to create some design. We'll create a gradient, set it to 45. So let's just create it. Starting color, all these are just gradients. We set the starting color, the end color. We set another color for the end color. Alright, so we need to create another one again. What are we going to call this? Let's call it as alright, that will be okay. Item background, we give it a shape because of the other one we gave it a shape. Alright, so we are going to still do the same thing. Gradient, this is how we want to do it. So that is it. So we give another color again. So these are how gradient is being designed. You see some kind of color in your app, in some apps. These are they are being designed. After it has been, the design idea has been given by the UI and UX designers. Sorry about that. So let's create corners as you saw in the previous video on the thumbnail. So want to make the color to have the button to have some shape, to have a shape at the bottom side of the left bottom side. Alright, so you are going to, as you are seeing, it is changing. If you look at the design, see how it is changing. I think everything is alright. Right, we need to create another one. We might not use this one, we might use it, but let's just create it. If we use it or not. If you don't understand all this, you can let me know. Alright, so let's implement those design on our main activity.xml and registration activity.xml. So we implement it on all the edit text and the button. So let's implement it here so that you are going to see the way it is on the thumbnail on our previous video. So let's just implement them and try to make things look good. Remember that we are mainly focusing on the function, but just be patient to see how we do this ones. Set the background. So what else? We need to set the text color. I think it should not it's supposed not to be here. It's supposed to be at the not even here also. Sorry for that. Supposed to be at the bottom. So we'll also set it for the edit text. Set the color for the edit text. Set the same thing for the next edit text. That was the mistake I made in the other video. It's supposed to be password, not email. Alright. So color also white. So we need to give a background also. So let's give our background. So you can see things are getting better, but we still need to give some white color to the text, the edit text. Alright, let's also design same thing on the registration. So just watch as we go over it. So you can see that we are trying to do the same thing we did on our main activity. That's what we are trying to do. So we need background color for the button also. And we need to set the text color to white also. Text style as bold. Right, we also need text. You need to give text color to this as white also. Alright, I think everything is alright. Let's go to the main activity and also do likewise to our text views. I think things are okay. So that looks good. Now the next thing is to let's also give this text view color. Let's try to make things look good. I think everything is alright. So we need to work on the main activity.java to create a function for the registration. Is there anything that we need to put in order? Let's check. And also observe the IDs. I think everything is alright. Think is alright. Can still go through it. So let's create the reset password activity, because we are going to implement reset password also, and we are going to also implement add in this application. So the reset password, let's go and design the XML for the reset password also. So we just need to copy everything that is here, Ctrl+C, go to the reset password activity and paste it, and remove the things that we don't need, because we only need one edit text and one button whereby user enter his or her email and click on reset password. Now a reset email will be sent to that email address. The user will just go through the email and create a new password. So you can see how nice the application is. So let's change all the text to match the reset password activity.xml. Think things are getting better. Just hint is enter your email. So you can see that the way it is very good. They are very, very good. Let's cross check if there's anything that we need to check, anything we need to change or work on. I think everything is alright. We don't need this. So alright, let's work on that also. So we are going to give some margin top, margin bottom to make them have some distance between each other. Alright, I think everything is getting better. So after all this, we need to go to the main activity.java and create our registration. So let's create our registration. So what we are going to do, we are going to bring in the variables for the edit text, email, password, text view, and button. Just like instantiating the edit text, the text view, and the button, then we reference them by the ID. So we use find view by ID to reference them from the registration activity.xml. Then we'll make use of them. So after referencing them, after instantiating them, bringing in as variable, let's also set Firebase let's initialize Firebase. We'll just bring in the variable of Firebase. Then we'll come to the onCreate activity to instantiate it. So let's set progress dialog so that, because it is network, as it's going to be communicating with the Firebase database backend, it might take some time due to the internet connection. So let's reference all our edit text and button and text view by ID so that we can make use of them. So let's reference them. It's alright. So I think we have referenced all the necessary things that we need to reference. So let's check the ID to know what we use on the ID. Let's make some correction there. So after then we'll just copy and come to here and paste it. So the next thing we need to create a text. Let's instantiate the Firebase Database. So say m-auth is equal to firebase.getInstance before we'll be able to use Firebase. So let's also instantiate the progress dialog so that we can use progress dialog also. So from our variable mDialog is equals to new progress dialog, then this as the context of the registration. So the next thing is to create a text view that will go to the login page, login activity. So we use our go to text view. We set an on-click listener so that when a user click on it, it will take the user back to the login. Maybe the user have already logged in and the user mistakenly came to the registration, so the user can go back through by clicking on this on the text view which is already registered. So I think is okay. So the next thing we are going to do now is to set an on-click listener to the button. Then we'll create a function for the button for the user to register. So btn.set on-click listener, new on-click listener, you click enter. Then let's create function. Create a function like a method here. Create a method here that will now create it outside the button. So when a user click on the button, it will trigger that method outside. The method is to, there will be a function inside, there will be some function, some code inside this method that we perform the registration. So let's first of all create some variable that will get the input from users. in the edit text. So whenever this variable is going to connect with the edit text, and when user enter the input from the edit text, which is email and password, it will be stored in these variables. These variables will now send what value that is stored in it to the Firebase database, and registration will be completed. So string email is equal to email reg.getText.toString.trim. Now trim is to make the .toString means that it's a string value. .totrim means that to avoid any space, to trim and remove every white space. We'll set it for email and the password. Then after we are going to validate the input of user, so that user will not enter a null value, that is, just decide to click it without entering any information to submit to the database. So we are going to avoid that, so we use validation. We'll validate the user input. So we say if text.util.isEmpty for email, text.util.isEmpty for email, then tell the user email reg.setError, set an error telling the user that email is required. Then return. Then set it for the password. If text.util password is empty, then tell the user that please create a new password. Password cannot be empty. Please create password. Create a new password, then you return it. If the user refuses, return the user back to the same page. Then after if all condition has been fulfilled, if user has entered all information, then set a progress dialog. It will show processing. So let's instantiate progress dialog. So mdialog, okay, we have already instantiated it. It will set the message. mdialog.set message, set it as processing. So mdialog.set, this one is to avoid if user click on outside, it should still show processing until the task is completed. So mdialog.show. So after this, we'll create a string. We'll create a connection to the Firebase database. Once all information has been entered, and for it to connect to the database, we say mdialog.create user with email and password. Then we set the email, and we set the password also. Add on complete listener, new auth listener. So click enter. So now close it with semicolon. If task.is successful, if all condition, if it has successfully connected to the database, then the information will be stored. So we need to tell the user that everything is successful. So we need to give a message. We'll first of all send the user to next activity, before we now give a toast message to the user that registration is successful. So we give a toast message to the user that registration is successful. Alright, so what if it wasn't successful? We'll give an error message using toast. We'll first of all dismiss the progress dialog and we set registration failed. So I think at this point that we are done, everything is alright. So we need to test our app. Before we test our app, let's enable the authentication from the back end. So we enable sign in with email and password. Let's just enable the storage also, although we are not going to use it for now, but we'll just enable it and leave it. So alright, let's come back, let it be processing to be enabled by itself. So let's come back to our Android Studio and try to run our app. Let me just check if it is connected. Though no problem. Let's check something. Though we don't need this, it's already connected. Everything is connected. So let's just run the app. Let's see how it's going to be. I think our emulator is really delaying. So let's see what we can do. So let's see what we can do. Let's try our best. Let's try. So I just decide to save your time by checking what is the problem, why the emulator is still misbehaving. So everything is okay. Let's click on it and go to the, we're supposed to implement that text view so that we can go from the main activity to the registration activity, of which we haven't done that. So let's do it. So we'll create a text view. The text view, go to registration page. So we reference it by ID. So let's know what is the ID. Let's give it a proper write-up. So let's copy it, Ctrl C. We'll come to this point, arrow.id.Ctrl V. So we are going to set an on-click listener to it, the set on-click listener, so that once we click it, new on-complete listener. So once we click it, it will go to the registration page for us to do our registration, because the first activity that used to open is the main activity, which we need to set this text view so that we can go to the registration. So let's rerun our app and see. So it's loading. My emulator is somehow slow. Please bear with me. Alright, so let's just wait a moment. So let's click on it and see if it will take us there. Oh no, our application is stopping. What could be the error? Let's go to our logcat and see the problem. Let's go to the logcat. We'll set it as error. Let's try to check what could be the problem. See that it's still stopping. If you try to click on it, let's click on it, still stopping. So let's come to the error to check what could be the error. It's telling us that the error is on the registration page. And what is the error? That Firebase, we need to initialize Firebase app. What does it really mean? Okay, we can check if we didn't initialize Firebase very well, whether Google has started implementing a new method of initializing Firebase. So let's cross check everything. We need to cross check. Let's go to the main documentation where it is written on the Android Studio and check if Firebase code has been rewritten or has been changed. So let's see if we didn't write it correctly. I think everything is alright. The way we wrote it is okay. So let's just see if there's any way that we are making mistake. Let's try to cross check to see. It is very important for you to know how to debug error. Whenever you are having error, it is very, very important to know what to do. So let's create another one. Maybe that is not the way we're supposed to do, or maybe we need to initialize it at the starting point. Let's see, let's try it like this. Alright, so let's run our app and see if it's okay. Still the same. Okay, let's try. Oh no, still showing us the same thing. So what could be the problem? Let's try another method, because you see the same error message. Same error message. So let's see. Let's follow what it's trying to say. Maybe there's another method of writing Firebase now. So let's just wait a while. Let's rerun the app again. All these challenges make you to be a good developer when you know what to do. So we are going to still conquer in this tutorial. We must overcome this challenge. Maybe they want us to initialize. Maybe they have started writing firebase dot initialize app or whatever. So let's see if it will work. Let's try it again. We are still having the same error. What could be the problem? Is it that we need to update our dependencies? Let's see if we need to update them to the latest version. Maybe they are not up to date. So let's update all of them. Just hover on it and click to update it. Alright, so sync your project. Let's still try our best. Still building. So check this time if is the update that is a problem. If you cannot overcome all this debugging challenge, it will be difficult for you. So let's try our best. Alright, let's click on it and see again. Still stopping. Okay, we're going to do something. Alright, so this is what I did. I think I paste the solution at the website. So let me show you what I did. Let me show you some things that I did. I'm going to show you because everything is okay. I just try to save your time. So I'm going to show you how I managed to debug the error. If we check that the way it is okay now, let me show you what I did, how I did it. I want to regenerate. I want it to still develop the same error. Then so that I will show you how I solve the problem. I just try to save your time. I went off camera and tried to fix it. So I want to show you how I did it. So let's run it and see. Let it develop the same error again. So that I'll show you how I managed to fix it. When I click, you can see that. So what I did, I came to the lockout. I copied the error from the lockout. I just copied the error and went to Google search engine and paste it. So Stack Over. So seeing the link on Stack Overflow, I followed the link on Stack Overflow. So it's there that I went through to read that some person have passed through social challenges before. So I check on how they managed to solve theirs. So I went through, I read through, and most of the time on Stack Overflow, when you see the tick good, know that that is the correct one, the one that has the highest vote and the solution is working. So you follow it. So they ask us to add this to our build.grado. So that's why I highlighted it the other time, so that I need to now start it again. So I will uncomment it. So let's run it and see. There's the error. Let's see. There's something that I need to, there's one that I comment out. Let me show you. You can see this one. I need to go and uncomment it. So let me go and uncomment it. So these are the two things that made our app to be crashing. So let's rerun. You can see it has synced successfully now. So everything, those are the two things that was the problem to our app. So let's rerun the app and see how it's going to be. So just watch. So let's test it again. Let's click on go to registration. You can see it's working now. Everything is alright. So let's register. Why debugging by myself off camera? I've already used test1@gmail.com. So now let's use test2@gmail.com. Let's register and see. Okay, test1 mean is okay. So okay, sorry for that. It's test1 that I use. So after, I'm going to do this so that you recognize that is on the, so that you know that when we come to the home activity, you know that we are on the home activity. So that's why I want to do this. So once we click on registration successful, it will take us to this home activity, and this is home. Once we see it, we'll know that we are in the home activity. So let's rerun the app again and see. Let's rerun it again. So let's register it with test2@gmail.com. It's alright. Everything is alright. Check, you will see it there. You can see it's there already. So thank you. See you in the next class.